Hey everybody, today our party is getting for their last stay in Ank'harel, and we're going to talk about how we're prepping, so let's dig in. Welcome back everybody. So our party has just gotten back from Kael and they're in Ank'harel, which will probably be for the last time. For our first step in our prep, we're going to talk about our characters. We have Chosen, our bugbear barbarian. We have Dimitri, our gnome fighter. Iris, our halfling warlock. Jimmy, our sea elf druid. And Trixie, our human artificer / wizard. So our strong start today, we are going to have them just that first night they're back in Ank'harel. Iris is going to have a dream from Tussig, who is the patron from her previous lives. Every time she starts a new life, Tussig ends up finding her in one way, shape, or form. Scenes. Our first scene here is Iris's patron dream that we were just talking about with our strong start. I actually used ChatGPT to help me come up with some ideas for this and some of the dialogue. We were just discussing our sessions in the Discord that we have for our patrons. Link for that in the description below. And one of my patrons mentioned that they've been using ChatGPT to help build encounters, stat blocks for monsters, dialogue, and all that stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, I messed around with that for a little while and forgot about it. So we dived back in and we've been using that again. So thanks again, Tony. I appreciate it and the reminder. Super helpful. What is going to happen is she's going to have a dream as she is sleeping and her world's going to fade away. We're not going to read through all of this, but the basic gist of it is that Tussig is going to reach out to her and just say, hey, I've been trying to reach you again for a while. You were super helpful in your previous lives. Now that your current patron is dead, I am willing to extend powers to you if at the end of this, you are willing to bring me the jewel of 3 pairs that you're wearing, the necklace. If you accept, I'll give you the powers, and then we can use the jewel to work together to further your powers as you continue to learn and grow, and we'll do it together. I've got a section you can see here about who exactly Tussig is, and then I have a link down below to the NPCs that kind of gives a little bit more information. And then what his plans are with the jewel, he's basically just wants to help her grow. The biggest thing is he wants to unlock more secrets and learn more so that he can become more powerful, but he's doing it with the intention of also increasing Iris's knowledge and power. And then what's in it for Iris, she just gets her powers back and then she can become more powerful. While we're in Ank'harel, I kind of want everybody to have an opportunity for what the future could hold. So everybody's going to get their own little time at the table. Chosen has been practicing with the Library of the Cobalt Soul, the monks there, and training up with them. So he's going to have an interaction where he is training with Zant, who is been basically the one training him in between sessions. And he's going to, the two of them are going to have an interaction, and she is going to basically say, hey, we think you're ready to join the monks in the Library of the Cobalt Soul. To do so, though, we need you to offer up a sacrifice, and she's going to ask him for his crystal battle axe. So if he sacrifices that up, she will break it, and then she's going to forge a new weapon out of it. This is partially a request from my player and partially a little bit of me. So pretty excited to see how that goes, and Chosen will have a new weapon. After everything's said and done, he can be a monk in the Library of the Cobalt Soul, which is pretty cool. For Trixie, I assume she's going to spend some time in Ank'harel kind of looking around for things to tinker with. She's also planning on creating a prosthetic arm for Irvin, who lost his arm down in Kael. So as she's kind of searching about the city, she's going to run into a little shop. This is just something I made up, the Gearsmith's Gadgetorium, which is run by a little gnome called Glim Gearsmith. The shop is just junk filled with all kinds of different trinkets and mechanical parts and whatnot. And he's kind of disheveled, and he is going to talk with Trixie about her contraptions, what she's built, and he's going to show off some of his. I've got some sample text here in Notion, and then we're just going to kind of improvise the rest. But the gist of it is he is going to offer her a job to help him with his trinketing. And then also part of that will be going and finding magic items, basically, that they can use in their tinkering projects to help further them along. And we'll see how she accepts that. All of these are obviously up for the player's choice. They don't have to accept any of these. It's just an option. I'm trying to give everybody options after we finish this, because from here we're going straight into the Netherdeep and then the campaign is over. Part of their walk into the sunset is whatever they want to choose, and I'm hoping to give everybody options here. So Jimmy, what I'm going to have happen with Jimmy is while they're spending their 7 days in between the last mission and the next Cobalt Soul mission, where they'll dive into the Netherdeep, I'll have Question come up to Jimmy and say, hey, I have something I think you might be interested in. And she's going to walk him over to an orphanage. And this is, again, something that I just made up. It's called the Greenhaven Orphanage, which is run by Rhiannon, who is a half-elf druid. This orphanage is tailored towards kids who have shown signs of druidic power. Right now, Rhiannon is the only one who is teaching them. She needs some help. Question has kind of talked with her a little bit, gotten to know each other, and Question thinks that Jimmy would be a good fit. So Jimmy could, in theory, theory, Jeremy could join this and help them all to become nature runners, which is his little clan that he's really the only member left of, and he can teach them, which I think will be really good because Jimmy's motto really is a friend to all, and he's all about helping everybody. So I think this will be a good fit for him. It's his choice. If he doesn't want to, that's great. Totally fine. The last one is Dimitri, and this one I struggled a little bit with because Dimitri has the smallest backstory, but he's pretty fierce as far as making friends and enemies, and he's a pretty decent fighter. So what I'm going to have happen is, as they go into the tournament to fight, I'm going to have Sheed kind of pull Dimitri aside and say, hey, once this is all over, come talk to me. I've got some things I'd like to discuss with you. So they'll have the fights, everything, whatever happens, happens. And then afterwards, Sheed's going to approach Dimitri and say, hey, the past few times you guys have fought in here, you've shown some great promise. I think that you could do a lot to help the Scar Bearers, who are mercenaries that are hired out in Ank'harel. They're really the most famous ones. I feel like you can help us. So what I'd like to do is extend a job offer to you where you can help me promote fights. I want to double the amount of fights and tournaments that we have. I need help for that. I'm hoping that you can help me find fighters to enter the tournaments as well as help promote them. And I'll kind of take you under my wing and we can work on this together. And then eventually maybe you can join the Scar Bearers. We'll see if Dimitri's interested in that. I don't know if my player will be or not, but it's something. And I feel like it plays to Dimitri's strengths. So the next thing is the fighting tournaments in the Bowl of Judgment. The first group that my party will face is the Crimson Company, who is the rivals. The rivals will be tier 3. I've updated the plans I have for that in this link. I've just got a link to this and I've got step-by-steps. We talked about this, I think, in one of the videos already, so I'm not going to go over that too much. And then if my party beats the rivals, I have another group that I have recently added. Again, huge thanks to Tony on Patreon, our Discord. I use ChatGPT for this as well. So we've got the Discordant Ensemble, and it's made up of Gornak the Mighty, who is a half-orc fighter. We have Lyra Shadowblade, a tiefling rogue, Kethra Windrider, who's an Aarakocra monk, and then Alistair Fireheart, who's a dragonborn sorcerer, and finally Thalia Stormcaller, who is a human cleric. So let's click on this, and it'll pull up in them. I have also been using Midjourney to help populate a bunch of the NPCs that don't have pictures, so that's what we used for these guys as well. So here they all are together, and for the stat blocks, I just used ChatGPT, and I said, hey, I want this to be about a level 9, which is what my party is. Half-orc fighter. Give me a stat block, and this is what it came out with, and I really like this. This is much better than creating a player character sheet. It's super simple. Here's your actions, your bonus actions, reactions, all those different things, how many you get per short rest. We've got stat blocks like these for all of them. So here's Lyra, who is the rogue, all of this, and I've just got links for all of these, and I've pasted them down below in our session notes as well. So that's pretty fun. Really liking ChatGPT. I can't believe I forgot about it, but thanks again, Tony. You're the best. Once that's all said and done, they can get their reward if they win, and if they don't win, that's okay. I feel like this should be a decent challenge for them. If we happen to get far enough to get into the Cobalt Soul mission, I highly doubt it with 2 group fights. Those going to take a while. We'll get into the Cobalt Soul mission 6 because they already defeated the Elixir Aboleth, which is mission 5, so we're skipping right over that because they already did it. But we'll have some info and things. I've got this prep just in case. We'll probably talk about this more in the next prep video because we won't get to it, I don't think. But there's a bunch of information that Jamil can provide them. Secrets and clues, I basically just turned this into what the Rivals Know section, but they have been running the Allegiance missions. The biggest thing I think is that the Allegiance has perfected the crafting of ruidium weapons and armor, and they have figured out that it helps prevent them from being crushed basically in the Netherdeep. They've had some scouts that have gone in. Most of them have died. One returned and said, hey, it helped, but she eventually died of her wounds while she suffered while in the Netherdeep from some sort of creature. So that's all this information, and this is just information straight from the book on the Allegiance missions. NPCs, we have Tussock, the voiceless one, who's Iris's patron, Xanth, Mistbloom, who is the Cobalt Soul monk, training chosen, and then we've got Rhiannon, who is running the Druid Orphanage, Sheed, who runs the fight pits. We've got the rival party of the Crimson Company, and then the Discordant Ensemble. We also will probably run into Question and some of the others that we've already run into. I don't have links for them here, but they may run into them. Stat blocks. We've got Gornak the Mighty, who is our fighter that they may face, Lyra Shadowblade. We've got Kethra Windrider, Alistair Fireheart, Thalia Stormcaller, and that is it. I don't expect them to run into anything else while they're in the city. And Treasure, there's really nothing going on this time. This is really just our last hoorah while we're in Ank'harel before we get into the Netherdeep. That's pretty much it. Thank you guys a ton for watching. I do appreciate it. Huge shout out to my patrons. We'll catch you in the next one.